Let's unpack the market action with Naeem Aslam, Chief Investment Officer with Zay Capital Markets. He joins us from London. Very good morning to you. It's an interesting development now. It's not just the Strait of Hormuz, also Bab el-Mandab Strait, which is coming under threat. How do the shipping companies cope with this? How much of a logistical problem is it to have to navigate around two main shipping straits?
Sure. Thanks for having me as always. And that's a really interesting question, which many investors are looking for answers for. So basically, the route with Babel, that has other alternatives as compared to Strait of Hormuz, where there is pretty much no other alternative in a short period of time, and all the energy trade is taking place through that one. But in the Red Sea, you have other alternatives, such as in South Africa, Cape of Good Hopes. Now, to answer your question very precisely, look, the Cape of Good is another alternative, but that basically extends the journey by another 2 weeks. And in terms of absorbing the capacity, the spare capacity that can actually go through that particular route, with our estimate, the best case scenario is between 10 to 12% altogether, with another 2 weeks of a journey on top of that one. So what does that really mean in terms of the overall supply chain? More constraint, more pressure on the supply chain, and perhaps more adverse influence in terms of the global GDP across the globe.
Despite everything you've just discussed, Asian tech stocks are up for a second straight day. Are the equity markets being resilient or naive?
Yeah, I mean, that is an interesting question. And that's not only very much particular to the Asian markets, it's also particular to, it's very much relevant to any other equity market that you look at. Because when Donald Trump is sitting on a live television and saying that he is going to bomb heavy tonight, and then that is the 11th night, and then you see the stock market still rising to the upside, for example, Dow Jones Industrial 300 points, or then over in Asia, as you mentioned, it is a dilemma. It is something which is many investors are thinking that why that is happening. The closest answer that we can very much agree on that one is the markets have priced it in much worse than what is currently happening. The fact that the US-Iran war has been going on for such a long period of time and the market hasn't reacted to that one, it remains a major boiling point for many investors. But I do want to mention something for your audience, which is quite important. Look, everything is very much pinned to oil prices. We saw oil prices rising above $100, and then even then markets didn't crash. But all of that happened because of three major reasons. Number one, the spare capacity was used at a maximum level over in the United States and everywhere else. So SPRs now, they have depleted. Number two, America was drilling oil at its maximum capacity. Now it has reached that maximum capacity, so there's no much of new oil that they can really pull in. So, and number three is curtail in altogether in terms of a demand, cutting unnecessary journeys. But all of these ones are now kind of have reached a level where oil prices are going to see immense amount of a shock to the upside, and then that could perhaps give investors the real shock that they are very much looking at.
Naeem, thank you. Great to get your analysis. My guest, Naeem Aslam, Chief Investment Officer with Zay Capital Markets.